Welcome to the College Football Bros. I'm Michael Newman.
I am Ryan Newman.
And I'm Trey Newman.
All right, so Jeremy Pruitt, of course, has been fired at Tennessee. Former Auburn defensive coordinator Kevin Steele has been named acting head coach for now. Athletic director Philip Fulmer has retired, and the school announced multiple level 1 recruiting violations. So a lot going on at Tennessee right now. In this episode, we're going to rank the top 5 best coaches to replace Jeremy Pruitt. So these are not the 5 most likely, but the 5 that we think would do the best job replacing him before, and realistic hires. We'll get to our definition of realistic. There, yeah. I think Nick Saban's number 1. He would be.
Yeah.
But before we get to the list, be sure to subscribe to the podcast. And obviously, we're not only a podcast, we do YouTube only episodes as well, like this one. We bring college football content all year round, every week. And let us know in the comments who you think Tennessee should hire as their next head coach. But my first question for you guys is, was the firing of Jeremy Pruitt justified?
I think it was, especially since they ended up firing most of the staff because of potential violations. Lack of control was kind of one of the main quotes of the presser that we saw today. He wasn't getting the results on the field through 3 seasons, especially for what Vol fans desire. Under 500. And when you watch him and the Vols, you just don't have that feeling that they were going to take that giant step. They're getting blown out against marquee teams. You know, that win streak that he had at the end of last season, you know, we all know that wasn't against Murderers Row. I think the realistic Vol fans were aware of that. And, you know, they haven't been relevant in the East in a while, and they should be. They seem to be on the rise with the recruiting, but the results weren't coming, and there might be a reason why, though. The recruits were starting to come. We'll see how it all shakes out.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think it was justified, even though it was just 3 years. I mean, they had plenty of momentum going on during this offseason. Times were good. There was a stretch there during the summer where it was just like every other day, it seemed like they got a 4-star commit or something was going on there. And then, of course, they had the nice win streak coming in. So we kind of thought this year they were supposed to have a good offensive line. The defense was supposed to get a year older. They had some good pieces coming back there. Senior quarterback, even though Garantano hasn't been very consistent in his career, but the pieces were there. They were supposed to be all right this year, and they just laid an egg. And it was justified. If you had that big of an egg this year, it's just and with all those violations apparently in there, it was just an easy choice.
Yep, completely agree there. All right, let's get to the potential candidates. And there's 2 guys on the list in particular that we think would be great hires that we actually didn't include on the top 5 list. So we'll get to those guys first. And Trey, first one, Matt Campbell. Why isn't he on our list?
It's just tough for me to see him leaving a loaded Iowa State team going into next year for a big project in Tennessee, and especially he might not even be a geographic fit, and that with the unknown of what you're walking into at Tennessee, sanctions, potential bowl law, who knows? Just too many unknowns. So I feel like he's waiting to go for a more locked and loaded job.
Yeah, he's being very patient.
Yeah.
It would really, really surprise me to see him leave Iowa State right now.
Yeah, he's got a great gig, man. Power 5 job, maybe a top 10 returning team next year. So it almost could say the same thing. Well, not Power 5, but top 10-ish type team coming back next year with this young fella, Luke Fickell, Cincinnati's head coach. He, of course, had a fantastic year this year, only losing the last game on the last field goal to Georgia. But, I mean, he has been talked about in a lot of jobs. Any Power 5 job that opens up, his name's been thrown out there, and he just hasn't jumped at it yet. You know, he turned down like Michigan State. He turned down some pretty good opportunities, and that kind of makes you think, you know, I mean, Tennessee, we all think it could have the potential to be a great top tier job.
Yep.
But it's just not being treated like that among the coaching world. As we saw the previous time Tennessee was trying to hire a coach, they had to go way, way, way down their list to find even Pruitt even. So it just doesn't seem like Fickell, kind of like Matt Campbell, would jump at this opportunity, maybe look for something a little more ready, a little bit more of less of a project, I guess.
Yeah. You know, you don't know what's going to happen with those sanctions. Yeah. And again, the geographic thing, Fickell might, if Tennessee were in Ohio, then maybe this would be a job he'd go for.
Fair enough.
All right, let's get to our top 5. And the three of us each separately submitted ballots with our top 8, and we just kind of combined those into one top 5. We did have a tie for 5th place, so we cheated a little bit. There are 6 coaches on this list. So Trey starts out with one of the coaches tied for 5th.
Yeah, Gus Malzahn. We got with Malzahn, you get a veteran coach that he's obviously familiar with the SEC. He's proven to beat Saban a few times, which the Vols would desperately love to do on the 3rd Saturday in October every year. You would shift from a defensive mind in Pruitt to an offensive mind in Malzahn. It might be a little odd with Kevin Steele, the former Auburn defensive coordinator there now. It might be a little weird, but he would be a decent option.
Yeah, he's a solid coach. Like, it's never too exciting hiring someone that was just fired, but he's a good coach. It's not like he flamed out completely at all at Auburn. So yeah, not at all. Well, tied for 5th. This might seem a little crazy. I get that, but we have Will Healy, Charlotte's head coach. Ryan and I were particularly high on him, and I just think, so he started out at Austin Peay in FCS. They were like 0-11, 0-12, 1-10, 2-9 the years before he got there. They were just the worst program ever. By year 2, he went 8-4. Like, he just did an unbelievable turnaround job there. Goes up to Charlotte, and year 1 there took them to their first ever bowl game. So that was a good step. This year was down. It was a short season. Injuries. They had a tough schedule, short season. Yeah. I mean, that's why it's maybe a little crazy. Maybe this is too quick of a jump. Trey, you were bringing that up to us in text messages earlier. I can't necessarily disagree with you, but I just think he's an amazing recruiter. He had like Charlotte's best recruiting class ever. And I just think he would bring a lot of enthusiasm. He's from Tennessee. So that's why I maybe was a little over exuberant on him.
Well, I his Austin Peay tenure was crazy because the year before they got there, they were 0-11, but they had lost every game by 14 or more points. Like, they weren't even a good 0-11. They weren't even close. And then 2 years later, they're 8-4. But 3 of those losses were to FBS teams like Cincinnati, Miami, Ohio, and I think UCF.
That. Wow.
And then the one FCS loss was to like number 4 overall team with Jacksonville State. It was just like they won as many games as you possibly could have won, realistically. So he was unreal at that job. All
right. We move on to number 4.
Yeah, Lane Kiffin with the thick neck there.
He's healthy.
He just didn't miss the couple meals there. This one is a little bit tricky just because obviously he coached there for a year. It kind of spurned him a little bit, and
a little bit.
But let bygones be bygones. We forgive you. I think they would be very happy to welcome him back. The way he did his first year here at Ole Miss. But the question would be for here is like, would Lane Kiffin do it? What would it take to get him to take this job? I don't know if he would. I mean, he seems to have had a great first year at Ole Miss, and I'm sure they would, give him a little raise if there was somebody trying to take him away. I don't think Ole Miss would want that. So I do think it would be a good hire for Tennessee. He recruits well. He obviously has done very well offensively. He's done well at Florida Atlantic now. He's done really well the first year at Ole Miss. So he's got some good pedigrees and he's done a good job. It would be a great hire if Tennessee was able to somehow pull it off.
Yeah. The rock's already painted with him, with his name.
Yeah, they already painted the rock saying bring Lane home or something like that. So some people might not like it. I don't know if the administration would do it, but I agree. I think it would be a great hire.
Yeah.
Moving on to our number 3 guy, Jamey Chadwell, getting a lot of buzz lately, of course, with the job that he did at Coastal Carolina this year. He's a Tennessee native. Have a hard time believing he would turn down this opportunity if it was presented to him. If you're thinking about money, not that they are, but he would be relatively cheap compared to others on this list, I would imagine. But he's proven, especially this year, that he can win with less. His personality seems to be a great fit. He could fit in with their culture. I'd love to see his style in the SEC. If you haven't watched, he has a fun mix of old school option football with the new school kind of zone read, open style offense. I think it would be a big leap. And I'm not so sure he could translate the Coastal success he's had, but he has a high ceiling, and it'd be fun to see him there.
Yeah, I was a little bit lower on him than you guys. I mean, I guess I would like to see more than 1 year of great coaching, but it was such a great year that I can understand having him this high. Okay, number 2 on the list, is Billy Napier, Louisiana's head coach. He, of course, is now brought up for every SEC job that comes open. This would be a home run hire. I mean, I feel like they just need to give him whatever he asks to try to make this happen. He quickly turned Louisiana into a premier G5 coaching job. It was not that before. He's an A+ recruiter, pulling in the best Sun Belt classes ever. He's young. Like he's got 2 straight double-digit win seasons there. The only thing I worry about with him is he willing to take this job? Because I think he turned down South Carolina, turned down Auburn, which is just as good as the Tennessee job and doesn't have the potential sanctions to think about. So I'm not sure if he would take it, but you got to call him, got to give it a shot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He's waiting for a big time job.
He is. Maybe it was the lack of full control at Auburn that's the reason he didn't take that. Maybe if Tennessee says, hey, you pick your staff, we'll do everything for you, then maybe he'll take it.
Yep. All right. Our number 1 on the list here, we have Hugh Freeze, the current head coach at Liberty. We all know him from his previous SEC days at Ole Miss, where he did a good job, ran into a little bit of trouble at the end, but he did a good job reviving that program. Then he's just revitalized his career here at Liberty, took over a decent FCS program, but he's turned it into one of the best FBS programs in a short period of time here. He took over from Turner Gill, who, they were doing all right. They were about 6-6 type of team, but man, just a couple of years, all of a sudden he's got that train rolling. Malik Willis, he's done a magical job with him, turning him into one of the best quarterbacks. He just seems like he would be, we obviously know he recruits well, brings in a ton of talent, so that'd be no problem at Tennessee for him. And he seems to do well as coaching. So this would be, to me, the best hire that they could make. Realistically, the best hire that Tennessee could make.
Yeah, I think he would turn them into a winner very quickly. And obviously the elephant in the room here is they're just firing Jeremy Pruitt. At least, they're saying they're firing him for recruiting violation.
Yeah, that's a little...
I mean, I think it's both now. I mean, there's they were searching for violations, so they could get out of that buyout, but they found them, and the NCAA is investigating. So, are you really going to hire Hugh Freeze, who was fired for NCAA violations from his previous SEC coaching job? Maybe, but it's dicey. But I agree, it would be a great hire if you just kind of ignore that.
Yeah, I'd do it.
All right, so here's our top 5 list just to recap. Again, let us know in the comments your disagreements, who you think should be number 1 on this list as far as who would do the best job replacing Jeremy Pruitt. But guys, what are some honorable mentions, guys, we didn't name?
Yeah, who'd you have in your top 5 that we didn't or wasn't in this group, Trey?
I would have to consider Tom Herman. I think he would be a great hire. He's a winner, probably learned what he needs to do a little bit better from when he was at Texas. I mean, and it's not like he did an awful job at Texas. A lot of people just think he was like run out of town because he didn't do well. Like, they were competitive. He won all his bowl games, has a fun offense. He can recruit. He'd be a good hire.
Yeah, I agree. There's a high floor there. Kevin Steele of course, has been named the acting head coach. There's a lot of people that think, I mean, I wouldn't be excited about, promoting him permanently to the head coaching job. We talked about that with Auburn. It's just his previous head coaching stint at Baylor, I know it was a long time ago, did not go well at all. So I don't know how exciting that would be, but there's talk of maybe just, hey, let him be the interim coach this year, bring some stability, like get through those, see what those sanctions are going to be. Maybe just kind of have more, the next head coach that you're hiring go into a situation where he knows what he's getting into. So we'll see.
Yeah, that makes sense. Kind of the Ole Miss playbook.
With
Matt Luke.
And then they ended up sticking with Matt. Why is it my brain?
Matt Luke.
Matt Luke for a couple years, and then turned into the Lane Train. So, Yep. I was thinking the guy, I've mentioned him. He doesn't seem to get a ton of pub here, but Tony Elliott, co-offensive coordinator at Clemson. He's been there for a while now. He's been on that staff for over 10 years. He's been groomed by one of the best in Dabo. He's got a lot of experience. I think he played at Clemson, but he's in line, man. He's coming up here soon. And then the other guy I had was Bill Clark, UAB coach, who's just done a fantastic job there. I think he'd be a good hire for Tennessee. I think he'd improve them immediately. Not sure how high his ceiling is, but he'd improve them.
The fascinating thing to me is there's just so many candidates for this Tennessee job, more so than with some other openings that we've seen recently. It just seems so wide open. Like guys like Jeff Hafley, Bill O'Brien. I mean, everyone's getting named.
Doug Marrone.
Yeah, and there's NFL guys on the list because reportedly Peyton Manning's going to be involved in the search. So you got Doug Marrone, Jim Caldwell. Like you're right. It's
Bill O'Brien. Yeah,
it would not shock me at all if none of the people we've named in this video, someone else gets the job.
Yep. It's wide open.
Well, thanks for watching the College Football Bros. Again, let us know in the comments your disagreements, who you think should be the head coach. I've said that 3 times now. Subscribe. We're trying to build up our subscriber base here. And give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. So thanks for watching. See you next time.
You've been watching the College Football Bros. Be sure to subscribe here on YouTube and in your podcast app for college football content all year round. For bonus episodes and access to our Discord chat, join our Patreon at patreon.com/collegefootballbros. Thanks for watching.